Okay, so a couple things to point out on this. One is that these colors are somewhat random. I'm just picking them for contrast to kind of get a sense. We can have different discrete color groups to talk about. Again, and I know this bar here doesn't look anything like yours. Well, I mean, it does enough. Yours looks a lot better, but this is just for the sake of illustration. And also these little bits of color coming out here, I'll redo that. That was just kind of doing that quickly. Um, so what we've done so far is set up the artwork, and that makes it easier to do anything with. So we have our SKU specific stuff here. And again, so this is one way to do it, and you can have a discrete color in the background. And that way, if you do another SKU, you can dictate a different color to print on this, and you won't need to change a cylinder for that. And then you would just change a black cylinder here. So it would be a different thing. Um, and you can also change any of these colors on any reprint, any distinct color, be it this or the text or what have you, without new cylinders. So this is just one thing. And again, a lot of this will come to your sort of aesthetic sensibilities. So we have it's separated with the top and the bottom, and so that way it allows me to really bring up the size of your branding so it's more visible, because if we wanted to put it into more of a controlled space, you wouldn't be able to read from across the room. This you'll be able to absolutely read from across the room. Um, and this is sort of the background of the bag. You can also, if you end up going with a flat pouch, and we do need to kind of determine that, but if you end up going with a flat pouch, then there would be, a side seal down the side, and you may want to cover that with something so it's not exposed metal that, can't be covered by your bar. Um, but if you ended up going with the fin seal, and this I literally just copy and pasted it and added a semicircle shape here to illustrate what I'm doing, but what you'd be able to do is then set it up so that that's the front, and then this wraps around on the back. So what would be cool is, I don't have time to mock this up in 3D right now, because I have to, and I would actually have to learn a little bit more of 3D to do that. But so if you're looking at the bag from the side, you'd be able to see your product in there as well. And I think that's a really cool effect. So the window could, wrap around onto the back. And so maybe you would take uh, something like this, and then we're just going to, rotate I think reflect is the word. Yeah, okay. And then just kind of pop this down here. And then, I don't know, I'm just kind of doing this. So your bar would be visible, in the whole time, even after that got over there. And of course, this would be different. But that's just kind of a concept that we can work with, maybe. And then that wraps around, and there's some continuity, and we'd make sure that it kind of ended up the right spot. If you're going to do something like that, and again, this is the edge of the bag here, you might want to keep these here. You might want to move them. But this is just sort of one direction that I'm just looking at, or thinking it's worth pointing out to you. You can of course change the color. So we've set up let's see, where is this? So if we can change it to something else, of course, if you want to make it like a green, better organized. Okay, so we got the bar, and you could have it like this, and then this whole thing. I don't know. You could move it down to the bottom. Okay, and then one other thing I was just going to do is, simply because I kind of like how that works, you can always do something like this, just to get that little bit of overlap there that I personally think looks really good. You could do the same down here if you wanted to make the bad defining color and characteristic go across the bottom. Then we could set it up so that, whatever this encroaches upon it, there's no text there. And then the rest is sort of like a template for both this file and other files in the future. But yeah, so in short, this is a lot of the time spent was just kind of getting it set up so that it's very sort of modular and easy to move around and that sort of thing. So specifically so that you could come back and say, you know what, Joe, I'd like you to do it like this, or can you just change this over there? And it's set up now to be really easy to just um, mess around with. Also, I'm happy to send you the file if you have a copy of Illustrator or have a friend that does, and you just sort of want to try different stuff and try different color combinations on your own. Uh, I really have no problem with that. Okay, let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.